I'm very proud of Todd for his work as a student athlete. Obviously, we won gold together. He was my point guard in 2009 on Maccabi USA, which was very exciting to experience that. Him, Stephen, and Todd played on that gold medal team in 2009. And then when he got into coaching, when he was done playing professionally, he called me and he asked me about, what do you think about this profession? And I, just like my son, I tried to talk him out of it. And I said, you're way too smart for this. You're bright, and go do something else. But he wanted to, so he actually did. He actually did do something else for a little while, working in New York, I think. And man, he called me and he said, I think I'm going to take this deal at Columbia, this part-time assistant, whatever it's going to be. And I'm like, all right, there you go. And then I got the Auburn job the next year, and I asked him to come with me. And so he got a taste of the SEC, and then got a chance to be the associate head coach out at San Francisco, and then he took over. He's done a phenomenal job. So it's a great story, and obviously very proud of him.
Yeah, obviously I'm cheering for him every game of his career until tomorrow night. Always been his biggest fans. When he was at San Francisco, I'd stay up late, to watch his games when he was at San Francisco. Always been a huge fan from afar. Obviously, we worked together for a couple years. So this one's tough, he's family, he's like a brother to me, he's like a son to BP. So it's difficult, but at the end of the day, once we step in, that rectangle, obviously, we're going to try and get the win and do everything we can to win.
Some guys can do the whole pregame dinner with a close friend. Some guys can't. What's your thing on that?
That's a good question. So his wife and two kids, Maddie and Jake, are coming in town. So they're for sure coming over for dinner tonight. Todd told me he's a game time decision, so it'll be interesting. I told my wife, I told her, I was like, get the red wine ready just in case Coach Golden does come over, because we're going to try and get some of the game plan out of him as best we possibly can. So we're gonna have dinner with Megan, Maddie, and Jake, and then Todd will come over a little bit later after he's done with the team. So he's probably the only coach in America that I would ever be willing to spend any time with the night before a game. And I got some good friends in the profession, but he's probably the only one that I'd be comfortable enough to do it with. So we're excited to have him over tonight and spend a little time.
Just as follow, why is that? What is it about y'all's relationship, man?
It's gone so far back. I was what was I? I was a senior in high school when we first played together in Australia, and then playing together in Israel when I was in college, and then we've just stayed in touch ever since. So it's more than just a coach. Like a lot of guys you meet in the coach profession, you meet them through coaching, right? We've known each other since we were kids, basically. So it's more of a family type thing than a friendship type thing. So we're comfortable enough to spend a little time together before the game.
Mark?
Stephen, Todd seems to really enjoy the analytic side of basketball. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, he's the one that introduced me to it. Obviously not having been in coaching, I was a numbers guy, just being in medical sales. So obviously, it was familiar to me. Todd introduced me to Ken Palm, and really got me into it. So just to see some of the things that he does analytically, whether it's fouling a bad free throw shooter when they're up 1 point, no coach in the country is courageous enough to do that, but Coach Golden will. And obviously you have to admire him for that, because he's a pioneer in that sense. He's a guy that's really bringing it to the forefront of the college game, and is really living by it. So it's something that I think has been a big part of his success, and will continue to be a big part of his success. And a lot of the things that he taught us, we use on a day-to-day basis here at Auburn. I think it's been a big part of why we've been so successful as well. So, Todd was here in the first 2 years when obviously it was, we were rebuilding a program, and Todd really did an unbelievable job of kind of helping us get our grounding, recruiting guys like Davion Mitchell and Chumo Kiki, bringing in some of the guys that we brought in our first year of that team that wasn't very talented but won 15 games. Like, he brought in some guys at the last minute to help us, or helped us get in those connections in the recruiting of some of those players. And, just his basketball mind, and like you said, the analytics were a big part of, why we've been able to have and sustain success here at Auburn.
Yeah.
I think I may have been in the same hotel workout place you were in at the NCAA tournament when
he got hired, or you talked to him for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about what it was like, just guess how proud you were of him to get an opportunity in the SEC
Yeah.
as head coach.
So I had my Apple Watch on at halftime of the Jacksonville State game, and we're up we're playing okay. We're up, I don't know how much we were up at halftime, but I looked at my watch and I got the buzz from ESPN, Todd Golden, and I literally just out loud just said, "Holy," really loud. And BP's in game, is like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "No, nothing. We're good. Sorry." I just seen that Todd got the job, and I knew that Todd was a candidate at Mississippi State, at a few other places, but Florida, I knew that there was some connection there, but I didn't know how far down the road it was. And we had been talking pretty much every day at that point, and I think it even kind of took him by surprise a little bit when it came about. So it was more just a sense of just I was so proud that that he got that job. Obviously, it was incredibly well deserved, but we look at Florida as one of the best college basketball jobs in the country. And for him at such a young age to get that job, it's really cool for me as a friend, as a fan of his. So obviously was incredibly proud, incredibly happy for him and his family, to have the opportunity to come into the league and obviously be at such a great spot like Florida. So yeah, when I got the phone call, obviously took it right away, and just couldn't believe it, and just really happy for him, and he's going to do an unbelievable job there.
Steven, I don't know if this ever happened before. I don't have enough research, but what does it mean to have two Jewish Americans in the SEC coaching against each other as a Jewish American yourself?
I think it just shows, how far we've come as a country. That obviously, you have African American coaches in the SEC, you have Jewish American coaches in the SEC, in one of the best basketball conferences in all of college basketball, and that just shows you a lot. People give the South a bad rap, but I mean, I think it's a wonderful place, and it's a very inclusive place. And obviously, to put Jewish men and African American men in positions of power like this just shows you, how far this country has come and how great of a country that we live in. So I think it just speaks volumes to that.
Last question for
Stephen. 12 games in for Todd at Florida, how much have you seen his fingerprints just already be on this team and kind of shaping what they are and how they're going to play tomorrow night?
Yeah, I mean, he had a lot to do when he got there as far as, reconfiguring the roster and trying to bring in the pieces that fit what he does, and I think he's done a good job of that. They've played, in the games that they're supposed to win, they win by 30 or 40 points, and they play great. And then against really good teams, they're in there and then they're playing well. It's just, they've come up short in some of their bigger matchups. So I think it just takes a little time to kind of get everything that, you want into a program. I think over time, he'll make, calculated decisions to bring in the players that fit what he does best. But, you can see it, just as far as the offense they run. And he's made a ton of adjustments this year already, and just lineups and rotations, and he hasn't had the same starting lineup, very often. He's trying to plug and play and figure out which lineups work best. I guarantee he's looking at efficiency lineups to see which lineups have the best plus minus together, which 2-man, 3-man, 4-man lineups work best together, and you can kind of see that throughout the games and throughout the starting lineups that he's had throughout the season, trying to figure out which guys work best together, which guys don't play well together, and try and get everybody on the same page heading into conference play.